All right, thanks everybody, and thank you to the chiefs for allowing me this opportunity. I'm your sheriff, Joe Lico, and we work very closely with the cities. I can't say that's the same case everywhere across the state. Take it from me as a sheriff, I work with other sheriffs, there's 86 others of us throughout the state, and it's very important to have collaboration and work well. I go back a long ways with both Brians. I worked at the drug task force with Brian when jean shorts were a thing. We used to wear jean shorts back in 2000. Yeah. Also, you know, as a sidebar, this is my home here in West St. Paul. I grew up on Oakdale and Stanley, so it's a special place in my heart here. I went to Brady, right through the windows here. Both my kids graduated from St. Croix Lutheran, so I have a very special place in my heart for West St. Paul. Sergeant Wanderer was my first contact with law enforcement. I won't get into that as a juvenile, but with West St. Paul, it was a good encounter. I learned a lot from him, and I'm just going to briefly touch on a little bit what the sheriff's office provides. And I know it was already touched on a little bit about our collaboration. We talked about South Metro SWAT, which we work together on, and we don't get called out that much, but it's great to have that resource. There are two, Burnsville and Eagan are the only two cities in Dakota County that have their own SWAT teams. Otherwise, every other city, municipality, city police department, and the sheriff's office are all part of one, along with Rice County as well. We talked about the drug task force briefly. That has advanced so much, going back to even when Brian and I were out there doing buys for small amounts of methamphetamine sitting at the Kmart lot. Now, that was a thing. Now they're buying pounds. I wish I could say that it's getting better out there with the drugs, but the weight is tenfold than it was even 10 years ago when I ran the drug task force in 2010. Unfortunately, there are cartels here. I don't know if it's a shock, but there's cartels and they have runners, and we focus on the larger seizures, right? Because we believe if we can get the larger seizures rather than, not that we were chasing smaller amounts back then, but there was not that much weight out there. There were bigger dealers, but we weren't seeing it as much as we are now. But if you get the larger amounts, that helps contain it, hopefully, where it doesn't spill out. That goes for the thousands, tens of thousands of pills of fentanyl that we're seizing as well. We know that if we get up the food chain and arrest those and seize that, it'll stop from dispersing amongst our streets. And as you know, there's no gates or bridges or any lift bridges or anything like that. They can go right across into any county. They don't care. They don't come into West St. Paul. Well, boy, we better stop here because they're going to prosecute here versus wherever. So it's all over the metro, and sometimes we have to go up into St. Paul to get it, and we'll do that. But like Chief Sturgis said, we are concentrating as well with the drug task force on that violent crime aspect because we're seeing more of it. And when you have 15 officers that are dedicated, the city police departments that are dedicated to that, all but one right now has a body up there that's in Grove Heights. We're trying to get them back on board. But when you have that many investigators that work together in undercover, plain clothes, very highly skilled, connected. They don't just work with each other through the cities, they work with other counties as well through the drug task force, and they get to know who's who. And you can get on people pretty quick and run down investigations and get to the source. So they've been recognized nationally for their work. It's been really great. So we want to just promote that a little bit. The Electronic Crimes Unit, that's also a collaboration that we have with our cities and the sheriff's office. And I think Eagan is the only agency that's not a part of that. They kind of do their own thing there as well. But it's basically bringing investigators together to investigate the electronics, right? Everything's on a cell phone now. It used to be the hard drives. It started when we bring in the big hard drives in and going through those things. But there's always evidence that helps county attorney's office in their charging. I'd like to think it really increases the prosecution rates as far as conviction rates go because you have that hard evidence. Chief Wiki brought up the fact of that homicide that happened with the marijuana deal, and I think there was some evidence on that, wasn't there, Brian, as far as a cell phone or something like that helped us get on who that person was communicating with before that drug deal?
Yeah, do you mind if I step in
Yeah,
on
go
there?
ahead.
So I want to speak to the value of these partnerships. It makes perfect sense that we work together in this. We had a homicide, I'm not trying to share any intimate details here, about a year ago here today. And within hours of the event taking place, we had contacted the sheriff's office, our partners with the electronics crime unit, secured a warrant, and it got the victim's cell phone. That led us to an individual, and I'm gonna speak very generally. With that individual's name, we were then able to call our partners with the Dakota County Drug Task Force. They were able to mobilize. Within 24 hours, we received a phone call. We had located our suspect. We had located a firearm. Don't know if it's a firearm that was used in the offense, and they had that individual in custody. I will be completely honest, that would have taken my investigators, my staff, a number of days to get to the point to do all this on our own. We simply could not provide this level of public safety without these partnerships that Sheriff Lico is talking about.
Prior to the electronics crime unit, we'd have to send our equipment to be analyzed to the BCA, because we don't have the funds or the personnel able to download and dig the stuff out of these electronics. So it would take months, literally months, if we sent this up to the BCA in order to get this stuff extracted from these files. Homicide, we can get the stuff extracted in sometimes a matter of hours.
And even it's as simple as getting surveillance video from a business and cleaning it up with a license plate. I have so much confidence in that group, along with the drug task force, to work together. They do work together, they work out of the same building together, so if they get on something, there's a violent offender. There was one incident here last year, it was a bank robbery, and once they determined a plate, I said, they're gonna get on, I'm gonna get them arrested within 24 hours. Sure enough, they did. I have that much confidence in them, they're just that good. So this collaboration works. You share information, you share skill sets, you learn, you move on, and it continues to build, and it's highly beneficial. Because we alone, as each individual agency, can't do this on our own. We can't. We're not St. Paul. We're not Hennepin. We're not Minneapolis. We need to pool together our resources because that costs money. That saves all taxpayers' money as well when you collaborate like that. But the information sharing is invaluable. Mobile field force. I mean, we had the riots, that spilled into our county, obviously, and Chief Sturgeon was up there and said over the radio, "I need help. I'm surrounded," and we all just came. And that's the model for the sheriff's office and every police agency for that matter in Dakota County. And I instruct our people, even though we're miles away, if you hear that, if you even think they need help, just go, and don't call, ask if you should go, just go. And then, because they're busy, we'll figure it out later. You can always come back. So we are always responding, floating that way, or going that way to assist, because we know that our resources are limited. Dakota 911 dispatch, mobile field force, that is something that formed around that time, with the turtle suits, we call them, basically, the soft suits, the shields and all that stuff, and we wanted to make sure we were protecting lives and property. We had to form that as a contingency here for Dakota County, and they train, and the officers, the deputies at our office are all trained in that as well, and same with the cities. So they come together, so they have numbers. You can't just have a mobile field force of 8 people. That's not gonna save this building, right? You need numbers. So fortunately, I haven't been able to use that, haven't had to use that recently. 911 dispatch, as you probably know, that's also, we used to have, how many, 5 PSAPs before this? Before we came together, like in 2004-ish? But it's located in Rosemount, and they dispatch for the entire county now, and we all work together on that. So that's where all those statistics come from as well. Anybody know, I don't have trivia, classes or things like that I brought, I apologize, but I do have a question for you to see, I'm not trying to stump you, but do you know what the difference is between a sheriff's office and a police agency? As far as mandates go, what is the sheriff responsible for that differs from police departments? Yes, sir?
Jail.
The jail, yes. That's one.
Highway.
I'm sorry?
Highway.
Highways, well, we're all responsible for that. Typically, state patrol, if there's crashes, they'll come out on those if it looks like it's a potential fatal, but we cover highways altogether. That's
The
not a
outskirts?
distinct, I'm sorry?
The cities, the outskirts?
The outskirts, yeah, our patrol area, that's not mandated, but yes, we cover 355 square miles of patrol area. South of, Rosemount, south of Hastings, south of Farmington, Lakeville, down to Cannon Falls, Northfield, almost to Red Wing there. So we have 27 deputies assigned to patrol. Overall at the sheriff's office, we have about 200 employees. Half of those are in the jail, roughly. So jail is one mandate. Any others?
Courthouse security?
Courthouse security. We have courthouse here in Northern Service Center. You'll see our deputies inside there. We are responsible by statute for courthouse security. So with the jail, what comes with the jail? How do you get those prisoners or inmates or arrestees back and forth? Transport. So we have to go, if somebody arrests a warrant up in Cass County and they're held on, body only, or they got a bail they can't make, we go up and get them, and vice versa. Other counties come to our office or to our jail to get their people they might have on holds. So transport, we have court security, we have the jail. Anything else?
Training.
I'm sorry?
Training
Training?
of officers.
Yeah, I mean, we all share that. We all do that too. State mandates. So we also have civil service. If you have an order for protection that's issued against you, our deputies go out and serve that. Now, sometimes we rely on the cities if they happen to know where that person is, and we can share that information, or we do share that information. But for the most part, we are responsible by a mandate to serve court orders and writs and foreclosures and all that stuff. That's a totally different world than I am familiar with. Never worked in that environment. I have people in there that know it like the back of their hand, and I trust them. So that's a big part of our agency as well. About waterways, if we find a body, knock on wood, in Thompson Lake, Lily Lake, the sheriff's office comes and has to investigate all water-related accidents and deaths, as well as recreational safety. So that includes on a lot of our trails, with ATVs and things like that, we'll come out and do that. But every waterway in Dakota County, we go out and investigate any water-related deaths. Egan just had one yesterday. So, anything else? I think that's all we have. So I gave you a little bit of the composition as far as the jail goes. We have a 264-bed jail. Any idea of how many of the inmates that are in our jail on every given day have been there before? 264 bed, we're at about 200 right now. It went down quite a bit during COVID because we let the lower offenses go out, but it's starting to build back up.
75%?
Yeah, very good. 73% have been in our jail before. So it's a revolving door. We have really good programs in our jail, and we're doing things on the outside as far as embedded social workers to try to get them connected to resources so they're not coming back through that revolving door. But 73%, over half of our arrestees and our inmates do not even live in Dakota County, but they're committing crimes in our county. So those are interesting statistics. The sheriff's office, we also do, these aren't mandated things, we have a commercial vehicle enforcement. That we have one deputy that goes out and does all the heavy trucks and things like that. Construction season, we don't have construction going on at all, do we? Or heavy trucks or gravel and everything all over the place, falling all over our roadways during the summer. But he goes out and enforces. He goes in the cities and assists with the police departments. We also have someone assigned to the Department of Drug Enforcement, the DEA, as well as the U.S. Marshal's Office, Fugitive Task Force. They also go after the bad people that are wanted federally, most likely. I think that's about it. One of the things, we're facing the same challenges, recruitment, retention. And it's hard to recruit when the pools and the enrollment in the schools are so low. So our best recruitment tool is our retention right now. You have to plug the holes in the leaky pool before you fill it. Like Brian said, hire one, lose one. Hire one, lose two. That's what we're doing. We're treading water right now, and it's kind of scary. It is scary because we're having people leave earlier. Sheriff Leslie just retired. I just got elected, by the way, this last year. I've been with the sheriff's office for 26 years. So I worked my way through different aspects of the office and served as the chief deputy for 8 years under Sheriff Leslie, operating the business side of it. And just I can share the same stories as Brian. When I got hired, there were over 200 applicants for one job. We had 14 last time when we